What's up, everybody? Let me share this real quick. What's up, everybody? Merry Christmas Eve. Wasn't sure if I should do this because it's Christmas Eve, but I thought, why not? Let me share real quick. Where's the? It won't. It's not sharing. Let's see. Well. Um. All right. Well, it's not letting me share it, but Well, the Braves really haven't done too much again. I think that we've added a lot to our minor league system. So I think our AAA team is going to be fine. There's going to be a lot of depth there. And again, I don't know if we're going to add anything at this point, but we're still projected for 93 wins. I would expect us to add something, at least a veteran starter, even if it's just Charlie Morton. But I'm not quite sure on that. But given the prices and everything and the luxury tax stuff, even though Alex Anthopoulos said the luxury tax isn't, the second level isn't necessarily an issue, I think with the prices of the free agents this year, it might be. So we might be staying under that, but I still expect us to do some different things because, once again, I don't think you get rid of the 22.5-ish million that you had with Jorge Soler, and restructure the contracts of Aaron Bummer and Ronaldo Lopez to have lower numbers this year. I think it's just going to be something right. I think there could be some trades. And like I said in my video yesterday, I believe, the Chris Sale trade last year didn't come until New Year's Eve. So again, there's still a lot of time, and Alex Anthopoulos kind of has to be picky because even though he said the luxury tax second level doesn't matter, I mean, I think we're still going to be careful with that. Plus, I mean, the Walker Buehler deal, you think one year 21, that's around what Alex would do, but he hit 120 or 118. But also, you don't know if Walker Buehler said no. I mean, there's a bunch of different things about this process that we're not fully aware of. And again, we're still going to have a solid team even if we don't do anything. I would be disappointed if we didn't. But like I said, the projections still have us at 93.5 wins over under. So we still do have a solid team. It's a little bit of FOMO, and of course with the holiday season and all that stuff, it's definitely warranted. But You got Chris Sale, you got Ronaldo Lopez, you got Spencer Schwellenbach, you've got AJ Smith-Shawver, Grant Holmes being the swingman X factor. I just think you do still need one starter because you're not sure the injury history of Ronaldo, what happened last year, Chris Sale, Spencer Schwallenbach. I don't think you want to put too much on that necessarily. So I think one starter, even if it's Charlie Morton, but I probably wouldn't go over 20. But again, these prices, I don't know, it seems standard that it's 25. Because Sean Manaea signed with the Mets for $375. There is deferred money in that. So not quite sure there. Let's see. But so I mean, there's not a ton to talk about, but again, you've got hopefully a healthy Michael Harris, a healthy Austin Riley all year, a healthy Matt Olson, a healthy Ozzy Albies. You're gonna get Ronald Acuna Jr. back May or latest June. So I think it's gonna be okay. It may not feel like it because we're all jealous and want some significant movement, but again, I talked about it a lot that I thought the injuries and stuff last year, it was going to be hard to judge how much of last year was because of the injuries and guys just trying too hard versus the actual productivity. And I think the change in coaching and hitting coaches is going to be an interesting change in philosophy and change in voice, and see with the dynamics of that. I still think you could explore an upgrade at shortstop with Hao-Sung Kim. I'm surprised that he's not really been a viable option for some, and I think he still could be, but I know his shoulder recovery might be part of the issue. So I'm not sure there, but that would be a really nice get. Obviously, I've mentioned Camilo Duval a lot on these chats as well. The reliever for the Giants, he does have a lot of walk issues, so that might deter Alex Anthopoulos, but maybe Adolis Garcia could be, because it feels like the Rangers have a logjam in outfield / DH, adding Jock Peterson for 2 years and 37, the first year, and opt out after the first year. So I think there's still a lot that can be done. And again, it's only Christmas Eve. So I'm sure we'll get some sort of explanation whether we actually like it or not. But I think there's a ton of depth and a ton of diamond in the rough type of guys that I can't wait to get a look at his spring training as well. That could make a major impact, especially in the bullpen with the Rule 5 guys that we acquired and things of that nature. So I think it's a different way, and we're not used to Alex Anthopoulos not getting ahead of the market in terms of getting the deals that he likes and the team likes, and obviously the players to like. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but I'd expect us to make some sort of move. Don't know when, don't know where, but it's and I know it's painful to wait on it for sure, just because you're missing out watching everybody stack together things. But you're also going to get Spencer Strider back. You'll be at least throwing to batters by February, I think. So I there's still a lot to look forward to, even though it feels the picture is cloudy and it feels incomplete, but it's still a solid roster as it stands. And I think we all have to realize that and wrap our heads around it, even though I'm gonna watch it no matter what, for sure. And I really can't wait to see like who's gonna be the Spencer Strider or Spencer Schwellenbach, excuse me, of 2024 that kind of comes out of nowhere and takes a stranglehold on a spot, obviously. And let's not forget, there's a lot of guys on our 40 man right now that don't have options. So from my leagues. So that could play factor as well in terms of trades later this offseason or into spring training as well. Guys like Ian Anderson coming back from Tommy John surgery. That's a interesting story to follow, watch, and speculate about. And I mean, again, a lot of the reliever market still hasn't gained steam. Estevez, Hoffman, Kenley Jansen, AJ Minter, a lot of those guys are still out there as well, so you can be creative there. But Alex Anthopoulos has learned not to make moves just to make moves. They have to make a lot of sense in a lot of areas. So I want to make sure that's what's up, Steven. Thanks. Happy holidays to you as well. Hope all of you have a great holiday, however you spend it. And hopefully we have some fun and legit news to talk about with the Braves, but I am still excited with everything that's going on, even though it's been slow and they're minor moves that don't shatter the internet by any means. But I think I also didn't realize, and I've said this a lot as well, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, that our AAA roster was so depleted and we didn't really have the depth to be able to roster a AAA team. So we've done a fantastic job of of retooling and rebooting that, so to speak. That we won't. I don't think we'll be in dire straits like we were last year because of all the injuries. Hopefully the injuries don't happen, but I think we'll be better equipped to not be scrambling and doing those type of different things. That's a very, very great positive that I think we all kind of swipe under the rug, but the way Alex Anthopoulos and the team uses the minor league system, we didn't again, we have a lot of guys, I believe 5 to 7 guys without options. So that's why I think the roster is still very much incomplete, and I think it may be the smallest of small moves, whatever those moves are, but I think it's gonna happen. Somehow, some way. Let's see, and I have no reason to doubt Alex Anthopoulos, even though it's been a bit boring and trying to figure out and weirdly trying to figure out what we're doing because we don't usually we usually do things quicker by now. So, but I think but I think it's gonna be okay, and we our infield's pretty set. Yes, would I like an upgrade for Orlando Arcia? That's why I mentioned House and Kim earlier, or maybe a Tyler Fitzgerald or something like that in a trade. Maybe I've seen Pablo Lopez's name bantied about for the Twins as well, even though I don't know if I necessarily see that from the Twins' perspective. There was a lot of there's a lot of crazy deals that I mean I will say the only deals that I'm kind of surprised the Braves didn't do, maybe definitely the Walker Buehler one, as I said, but maybe Walker Buehler didn't want to come to Atlanta because he has ghost of Truist Park, and he's coming off 2 Tommy John surgeries. I know he had the final out for the Dodgers in their World Series, so don't get me wrong there. And the Tyler O'Neill deal, 3 years, 49 with the Orioles. I thought that might be a deal we could do. The Max Kepler deal, 110 for the Phillies, but reading into it a little more, even though Max Kepler's had a solid short sample size in Citizens Bank Park, he likes to ground the ball to second base, aka Ender Inciarte, when things went awry for him in the latter stages of his career in Atlanta. So again, there's no bad 1-year deals, and I would have been totally fine if we did any of those, but I also can understand why we didn't, whether we're going for a big fish or there's something specific that we're waiting on or looking for. I can't tell you, but the overall freak out of not doing anything, I get it, because it's made content a lot harder, and I got to be a lot more creative, whereas I'd rather just be able to talk about moves and how it could impact the roster, this, that, and the other. But given that we haven't done too many impactful moves, not that that's a bad thing. So I'm just not good at speculating, never have been, but I've tried, and I think winning the offseason doesn't mean you necessarily win during the season. I mean, you've seen the Padres have been pretty quiet. I think the Yankees and the Red Sox have done really well for themselves. The A's doing what they're doing. Jeffrey Springs and Severino, even though I wouldn't have given Severino 367. I like that they're making moves. Couple of very solid moves. I'm really surprised the Reds haven't added more, and I'm surprised that the Blue Jays, nobody wants to take the Blue Jays money for some reason. Maybe because it's Canada. But I don't know. So I'm not. Everybody's made incremental ads and things, and I think the Phillies did a nice job with Jesus Luzardo. The Marlins, I never can figure out. The Nationals done nice with Nathaniel Lowe. I think they paid too much for Michael Soroka, but as a swingman, I guess again, there's no bad 1-year deals. We'll see how that pans out because he was much better as a reliever than anything. But I think being calculated and making sure that Sixto Sanchez. I think he got injured again and is just kind of in purgatory. Man, I haven't heard that name in a while. Yeah, he just kind of got bit by the injury bug, and that's all I know. He had super promise. I remember him pitching against us in the 2020 NLDS. So yeah, that's the last I remember of him. But I think he's still trying to battle in there and do some things. So good for him in that realm. But yeah, I think he's a classic case of what could have been for sure. But the Marlins are once again in another rebuild. I don't know that they'll ever be out of rebuild mode. Because every time they have a decent team, they decide to dismantle it because of financial stuff or different things like that. And I think it's sad, but it's also the state of sports in Florida, and because there's so many different teams and such. But we'll see. They still have Sandy Alcantara, so we'll see there. I think the reliever market is, like I said earlier, the reliever market is still hasn't really developed. So yeah, I mean Soroka, I'm really happy for him that he got $9 million, but I think that's a mark of the market being what it is. That's insane. And I know he had insane strikeout numbers as a reliever. I think 15.9 Ks per nine. But if he wants to try to be a starter, and you know as well as I do, probably that Michael Soroka is going to throw a shutout against the Braves, because that's usually what happens. Former Braves against the current Braves. But I think, and I'm really happy for him. I'll cheer for him as long as it's not against the Braves, to have some to be solid and continue his career, because he's persevered through a ton of stuff, and such a good guy. So happy for Soroka, and I think that you know what, get your money while you can and be successful while you can, so to speak there. But I mean, everybody's down on Alex Anthopoulos, but I don't think I have a reason to be down on Alex Anthopoulos until the finished product, or at least like the first couple weeks in April, like just to see see what we have. I mean, you'll have a healthy Sean Murphy. You've got Drake Baldwin waiting in the wings, unless there's a trade there, and there could be Nacho Alvarez developing more, or there could be a trade there. So there's a lot of different depth in the minor leagues to account for as well. So I'm glad I'm not making the decisions, but I would love to be a fly on the wall, so to speak. So I could get a clearer picture of what exactly the plan is. But I'm also, 7 straight playoff appearances and a World Series and 6 straight division titles. I mean, a lot of things are different, and you just gotta wait and see. And obviously, if we start out rough, the rumblings will get louder and louder. But as of right now, the track record is still the track record, and all I know is Alex Anthopoulos always tries to turn over every rock, every possible every possible avenue to make the team better, and until anything changes. Although I would like an actual person owner instead of Liberty Media, but again, I still think it's better ownership than some like the Miami Marlins and the Colorado Rockies and some different things. So, and we've locked up so many guys that requires less needs, and you just gotta kind of ride it out, and the understanding that even if you throw money at it, the Dodgers still were even though they won the championship, I get it, and great for them, but they still had a ton of needs, even though they spent $500 million in free agency, and I don't think that is supposed to necessarily be the case. So we'll see. I mean, the Braves are still going to be a solid team, so making moves just to make moves feels wrong in some ways, and I helpless for not making the knee-jerk move just because the Mets getting Soto, or even though I think their rotation is still hodgepodge and weird, and I don't know if that's necessarily the greatest, especially with Frankie Montas. Now Sasaki, if he signs the Dodgers or the Padres, then that's a little different. The Japanese phenom, but I mean, you just gotta. Different teams have to do it different ways, and I think the Astros have done a really nice job of Isaac Paredes and Christian Walker. I think Christian Walker's contract, 3 years, $60 million, is one of my favorites. And just kind of getting what you could for Kyle Tucker and not letting him walk in free agency is really a solid move. I think the Cubs are very interesting if they're able to add some bullpen pieces and some different things, because the Central is always muddled. I think the Cincinnati Reds pitching is good. I don't think their lineup has enough whatsoever. But I think the Cardinals are more of a mess than I originally perceived. Goldschmidt leaving, Nolan Arenado wanting out, and rejecting a trade to the Astros. I think they're more of a mess, so I really think the Central is up in the air. The Pirates are up and coming. I think they could use a lot of little things here and there in every part of their roster, so they might be a year or two away, but definitely pesky. And you want to try to get as much as you can while Paul Skeens is a Pittsburgh Pirate, because you know the reality of Pittsburgh Pirates, smaller market team, how they're able to do that. I'm really surprised that the Mariners haven't done much of anything at all. I really think they needed to revamp their philosophy, given their hitting philosophy anyway, especially with the cavernousness of the ballpark and what that entails, and all that stuff. The Mariners are steep surprised that they really haven't done anything yet. Let's see. Obviously the Dodgers are doing what the Dodgers do, but I think Blake Snell's interesting, and he keeps getting away with like 11.9 walks per nine. I don't know if he'll keep getting away with it, and I don't know if necessarily that contract is gonna turn out great. Just a thought as I go around Dodgers. I think Alex Bregman, I hope he goes to the Red Sox or Detroit, because the Mets. Well, if the Mets do that, then you have Bregman at third, Vientos at first, and then no Pete Alonso, which everybody thinks Pete Alonso is going to end up back in the Mets, and he made the wrong move by not signing that contract. So that could benefit the Mets as well. But I think Pete Alonso overestimated his market big time. So that's an interesting one. Corbin Burns wants $245 million, which I guess that's pretty standard given the price of pitching. So I'm kind of surprised he hasn't signed yet. I thought he was going to go to the Diamondbacks. I do like the Willy Adames move for them. I just don't think it's going to work out, given as well as it could have in a different ballpark, so to speak, because Oracle Park is insane, and Willy Adames has a big-time strikeout. But I like Buster Posey making a big move for a big free agent, because they've always kind of swung and missed. Big free agents in the recent years and things of that nature. I really like what the Cleveland Guardians have done. It's not splashy, but it's very sharp and a little bit out of the box, like they have to do. So, and that division's kind of like the NL Central, where it's kind of up in the air, but there's all the teams are kind of up and coming. The Twins may be the only one that I really can't figure out yet. And I haven't been able to figure them out for a few years, even though they made the playoffs a couple of years ago and won a playoff series. But I think it's very they're one that never seem to make the big splashes, except the Carlos Correa thing, but that's kind of worked out, but then not at times. It's been kind of that contract. So the Twins are one I haven't really been able to figure out. see, did I go through all the teams? The Padres haven't done much. I think they're hamstrung with some of those big contracts. The Xander Bogaerts contract seems to be a dud already. Dylan Cease, Grove coming off injury. I believe it's Tommy John, so that may be a half a year. Whether to trade Dylan Cease, the different bullpen pieces, like they went all in and weren't able to finish off the Dodgers, and now I think they're kind of in flux on what to do. I am surprised Baltimore hasn't gone more all in, considering their ownership gave them the green light to, and you have all these up and coming blue chip prospects, but then you kind of fumble the trade deadline and go completely silent against the Kansas City Royals and just kind of fumble, and now you're much more quiet than I expected them to be in the offseason so far. And I think the AL East is going to be a juggernaut. I think the NL East is going to be kind of a bloodbath against each other as well. That's where the balanced schedule, who's really good, instead of beating up on teams like the Marlins and the lesser teams where you should win, but they're always pesky. So I think the NL East is probably going to come down to who has the best records against the Marlins, and Washington could be a thorn in the side once again. So I think it's going to come down to who plays the Marlins the best. And again, this is a very incomplete and cloudy roster and what to expect in 2025 to this point. But you've still got a lot of cornerstone pieces that A, are due for bounce backs, and B, you got reinforcements coming as well in the injury reinforcements of Ronald Acuna Jr. and Spencer Strider. So I think it's a lot tougher knowing that you have all of this goodness, but and all of these pieces locked down, they know what we need, and they see what's happening in free agency, but you've also got a lot of factors of financials and stuff, so it's a difficult balancing act, and I think it's very very intriguing, to say the least, and people are acting like they're not going to watch the Braves even if we don't make a move, and I don't think that's true at all. And I think if we can stay healthy and develop some kind of utility pieces and things of that nature, maybe we'll see that more in terms of the AAA, depth. And we did acquire 3 or 4 guys with options, so they can do the up and down AAA Major League yo-yo that the Braves like to employ. And there's going to be a diamond in the rough or 2 or 3 that we usually hit on, because our draft and scouting department is that solid. So there's just a lot to be excited about, even though it's been quiet in the additions. And I'm just going to take it that way and enjoy that there's only 93 days until baseball returns. And just see how it plays out, because even if you win the offseason, like I said, doesn't mean you win games. Baseball isn't played on paper. Alex Anthopoulos knows what we need. Alex Anthopoulos hasn't really steered us wrong yet, so I don't think that that's going to happen intentionally again. And Alex Anthopoulos is always working, so it may not be fancy or earth-shattering news, but until we have a really rough season that is not injury inflicted, I'm not going to discount Alex Anthopoulos' ability at all, and neither should you. And if you do, I get it, but until we start playing games and things start rolling towards spring training and such, I'm not going to worry about it too much. The reality is there's always surprising stories, good and bad, and those are the unpredictability of sports that I love and hate. But that's how I'm kind of approaching this off season so far, and I hope you guys do the same and don't freak out too much, because just you make all the great fancy golden moves, but then a big injury happens and you're still scrambling. So it's a interesting road, and 2025 is gonna be interesting because there's gonna be a lot of motivation from guys like Michael Harris, Ronald Acuna Jr., Austin Riley, Matt Olson, because they had such a down 2024 for their standards that even if we don't add anything, I think even though I firmly believe we will, I think there's a lot of internal motivation for many a thing for the Braves to have insane success, and the more you can develop it from AAA, like say an AJ Smith-Shawver has a breakout year, or Grant Holmes continues to build off his surprisingly amazing 2024, or Bryce Elder takes a step forward, then you realize that the moves you don't make are sometimes the best moves you can do, is not to overreact and just stay the course, whatever the course is for your team. So and if that's hard to envision, then thank you. I don't. Then I guess maybe it's you're just gonna be frustrated no matter what happens. And I don't think that that's a great avenue or mindset going into seasons that are 162 games long and different things like that. So that's kind of just my thoughts about different teams, how they approach the offseason and the Braves, and trying not to over freak out and just enjoy enjoy the holidays, enjoy all the sports on, and try to figure out how you're going to watch it all, and trying to so I think I think we could be in a totally worse spot, and we're not. So I'm just really excited that there's still a lot of options, still a lot of different avenues, and even if we don't add anything, I think we're still in a good spot. It'll be more interesting, and I think social media will be even more insufferable than it usually is. But I think until Alex Anthopoulos, we haven't heard from Alex Anthopoulos much this offseason, which is also rare. Maybe because we haven't made a move, but you don't even really know his thought processes or anything. Plus, it's Christmas Eve. He may be doing Santa things and all that stuff, but maybe he'll wrap us something or under the Christmas tree. But I guarantee you, if and when we make a move, whatever the move is, people are going to be like, not that one. So who knows? I mean, I'm really proud to be a Braves fan, and the track record precedes itself, and the guys that are here want to be here. People talk about free agents walking out the door, but I've continued to say this entire offseason that it's a two-way street, and a lot of different things have to come into play, and the guys want to have to be here, and sometimes you're not going to turn down 218 million as much as you want to be somewhere. It's just human nature in that fact, and in free agency you get the ability to choose because your career has been that solid. I don't blame the guys one bit at all, and you just gotta appreciate the process, and it's fun to try to put the puzzle pieces together of seasons and of teams. And I really think that this 2025 roster is far from being pieced together. There's still a ton of free agents out there and a ton of trade options, and I honestly think there's probably a trade out there that we haven't even thought of, aka the Jared Kelenic deal of last year, and so we'll see. But I really am intrigued by what the new hitting coach Tim Hires and their staff, the philosophy they're gonna preach, and if we are able to diversify our offensive game instead of relying on the homer so much. Even though the homer is fun, it's amazing, and it's what we've hung our hat on a lot during our success. But it would be nice to be able to diversify it a little bit, and hopefully having Michael Harris the second, and maybe we can add a little bit more speed here and there with some of the younger guys, maybe from the minor leagues or whatnot. But I think there's still a ton of opportunity to for this roster to be different and fun and younger and more athletic, and our infield's still one of the best infields in baseball. I know in Orlando Arcia struggled at the plate a lot, but his defense is still gold a lot of the time. So there's a lot to be excited about going into 2025 for the Braves, despite the negativity and the "what have you done for me lately" mentality that the social media mentality of let's freak out every time something doesn't happen or we don't get or we don't make a splashy move or things things are different. I do know if the Braves struggle and get off to a bad start, social media is going to be a really hard place to be, but the avenue that we all choose and how we choose to embrace it, and because you gotta embrace sports because you never know what's gonna happen, even though sometimes it feels scripted. Yeah, it's just as unpredictable as anything, so that's why just gotta embrace it. And if you're a fan of a team, be a fan of a team, and then just be happy and cheer and just have fun with it. And of course, tomorrow being Christmas, make sure have fun, safe, happy, healthy, all of that, and just have a great day with family, friends, all that stuff. And maybe Alex Anthopoulos will leave us something under the tree, and we can all talk about that till our faces go blue. But until that happens, we have a pretty awesome team anyway. It may be different, maybe the changing of the guard, so to speak, and I've used that term a lot too, but it doesn't mean it's going to be a bad thing in 2025. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be intriguing. But I think one thing I do know, I think we're going to have one of the more underrated bullpens in baseball we have the last couple of years, but I really, really think that is going to be a strength. I know we lost some pieces, and AJ Minter is a free agent right now, but I think that is something to look out for. And like I said, the reliever market again hasn't developed really, so there's some creative avenues with starters, relievers / starters, hybrids, kind of thing like that. So that could be something as well. But I can tell you the 2025 roster right as of right now is going to be hungry to prove the staying ability and the all-star status that we had. 8 of the guys last year were all-star status, and they're going to have a lot to prove and be very, very motivated. So that is also something to look forward to. And I'm really, really, really excited about that. So I think I covered it all. As always, go Braves, champions forever. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, helps out a lot. Thanks, guys. I know I just rambled on about a lot of different things. It definitely wasn't linear. But just gotta keep the consistency, even though there's not a ton to talk about. But just stay in the moment, stay positive, and as always, go Braves champions forever. Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a great holiday, safe, happy, all that. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, helps it a lot. Thanks, guys. See you next Tuesday.